since we've been sitting here, I noticed that you keep looking back up at the roof of the replay.
I never get enough of it. You know,
Yeah.
I just, it's really great to watch.
Are you looking for something in particular, or are you?
You know, actually, I'm fascinated by the trip that he got. I mean, I think it's just great here. You know, look at they're lining up across the racetrack, and it looks like a cavalry charge. And by the time they get down to the turn, I mean, Junior's on the fence, and you know, I think we've both got the same theory that you know you're not going to be wide on both turns and win these kind of races. Just not going to happen. So he got in a good spot. Look, he's right on the fence there, and then you know then he picks his spot from there.
Jason.
Junior, how much of any were you tracking journalism? It looked like you all kind of made your moves simultaneously almost.
Well, I was first, he got into a beautiful rhythm. So, and I knew I got Sandman like right behind on the outside. So I was like, before I make any move, I got to make sure, he don't get the jump on me. At the same time, I got to make sure too that he doesn't try to keep me boxed, So I, just trying to act like I was in a hurry. Then all of a sudden, I get to see where journalism was, and I let my horse kind of move a little bit forward, and then I could feel how Jose Ortiz started picking it up and tried to go with me, and after that, I think like every move I was making, I was just that horse was just there for me every single time, and like I said, I wouldn't be able to done that with a horse that I have to say I make probably between 6 to 7, 8 little move that he was there for me in each time.
Junior, when you entered the spring on a horse this good, and you have what happened at Gulfstream with the heart attack and the spill, how scary was that for you, knowing possibly you don't get this opportunity?
I was completely heartbroken. I thought that was it. I knew that was this horse. All along, I knew this was the right horse for me to win the Derby. And I always say, well, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. But at the same time, like I say, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get another horse like this if I don't get back on time. But once again, I got the call the next day when I get out of the hospital. Mr. Mo said, listen, you do what you need to do, and you'll get to ride all the horses back. Just, I think that gave me a hell of a peace of mind and to do what I needed to do the right way to recover properly, and I just did that.
Junior, you said it was still sinking in. When is it going to sink in?
I don't know. It's still, like I said, I try to think what word can I use when people ask me, like, what does it feel to win the Derby? And I don't know if I'm going to be able actually to find the right word that can describe this feeling that I have in this right now.
Well, you said you started coming here 45 years ago. I'm just trying to understand kind of what that version of you thought of the possibility of this race versus this version of you kind of sitting up there having kind of achieved it.
I listened to my first Derby, I guess, when I was probably 14 years old, and I was sitting in the front seat of a GMC pickup with a trailer behind it. It was owned by Keith Asmussen, by the way. And I listened on an AM radio to the call of the race of Proud Clarion winning the Derby with Bobby Ussery up. And from where I started, that was Fort Pierce, South Dakota, by the way. And never dreaming that I'd ever come to Kentucky. I mean, I never even imagined that I would ever be here. I never imagined even being at Churchill Downs. And to wind up having number one the win title here and winning so many races here. I mean, I was very proud of that, and I looked back at that time and I thought, I can't even imagine, at that time I couldn't even imagine being at Churchill Downs. It was a dream that was even too far away for me. And to be sitting up here, I mean, and thinking back at that, whether it was 1967 or what it was, and it's, you know, like going to outer space.
Junior, I was wondering if you could just describe obviously you had the physical challenge of what happened to you in Florida, but just the mental challenge of going through what you went through this year, going through what you went through on Thursday. How did you maintain your confidence throughout the last couple months in Greece?
You know, I have to say I have a lot of faith in God, and I just keep every day since I got the injury, you know, I just keep telling God, just please heal me, and you know, like, you know, if it's meant to be, I know you're gonna put me right back in action before the Derby, and you know, once again, like I say, when Mr. Mott called me the day after I got out of the hospital, you know, it gave me a big peace of mind. You know, that you don't get that in the business often. You know, it's because this is the nature of the business. You know, somebody else get to ride the horse, you ride him good, and you know, you get to keep him because the guy did a good job. How you get him off? You know what I mean? So I understand that too, and but once again, like I say, just having the peace of mind and being able to do what I needed to do, it just, you know, it's something that I always, you know, and will appreciate from Mr. Mott.
Michael.
Michael, I know you've been asked a little bit about this horse's pedigree and into mischief, but could you talk a little bit about the female side of his family, particularly being out of a Bernardini mare who's just been amazing?
It was fantastic, and Crown was, she was a lovely mare that we bought, and unfortunately she had a few niggles, never really made it to the racetrack. But the person you need to talk about that is this man over here, because he's trained most of the family in there, going back about 3 generations, and he's had great success with that whole family.
And it is fun. It makes it fun because I trained the third dam, and the third dam was out of a mare called Lakeway that won the Alabama, and I was part of the team that bought her. Her name was Sluice. She was out of Lakeway, and I was able to train her, and we won a graded stake with her in Chicago. And then she produced a mare called Mushka, and I was lucky enough to get Mushka, and I actually trained her for 2 different owners, and we won the Spinster with her, and then Mushka in turn produced Crowned, and then Godolphin bought Crowned, but it's really, it's kind of a neat thing to be able to train those families and those generations of horses, and you know, it might be telling my age a little bit, but it really makes it pretty special.
Michael, obviously, you know, Godolphin's had a number of horses that have come here before. Was there ever a thought that, you know, what was it going to take to, you know, finally get a winner? Or was there ever, do you ever doubt that you would be up here in a spot like this?
Well, I think as long as we got the type of horses to give us an opportunity to get up here and to be able to compete in the Derby, that's all we can ask for. Any horse that wins the Derby gets the great trip out there. Junior alluded to it already. Everywhere he went, he got where he needed to be. As Bill also said, he needed to be able to get over to the rail and be able to save ground as well. And you see every Derby winner, they have, it seems like they travel around the racetrack in this bubble, and no matter where they go, things open up for them. Same with him today now. Obviously at the start, that was a little bit scary, but other than that, he had a great trip around there. The horse takes dirt very well, so that's not an issue, being down close to the rail as well. So do we expect to win these type of races? No, you don't. You just expect to have some nice horses that you can give them the opportunity, give them to great trainers like we have. We have 5 trainers here in the US. Every one of them had a runner this weekend in graded stakes races. We're fortunate enough for 3 of them to win races as well. So it's just an opportunity to give those horses the best chance that they can have. And if we get one good enough to win the Derby, fantastic. We're delighted. And are we going to try again next year? Sure, we're going to try again next year. And the year after. Will we get here? Who knows? But we'll be certainly trying, that's for sure. And you know, we were very fortunate that we had a great crop of 3-year-olds. Last year as 2-year-olds, they were really nice. We had 4 horses that won graded races that you could term as prep races at the end of their 2-year-old career to be going into their 3-year-old year. So we were excited about having 4 of them. You know, it took 50% of that to get here today, to get one of them to win it. So it takes a big effort to be able to get here, and we don't take it lightly. But we certainly don't think that just because we have some nice horses that we're going to be able to get up, sit at this table, and be the winner of the race. The boss ran a lot of horses in Europe, a lot of horses in the Epsom Derby, and it took an awful lot of horses to get there before Massar eventually won the race for Godolphin. And you know, we had great horses that ran that race. The one that the boss will always consider maybe his best horse in Dubai Millennium, and he ran there and ran too free and didn't get the distance that day. So it takes a very, very good horse to win these races, and we were fortunate enough to have Sovereignty be able to show his true talent today.